What's going on, guys? Colonel Meatshield reporting for duty. Today we're going back in time. We're going to dust off an old record. November 3rd, 2017, which was 4 years ago now, Call of Duty WWII was released worldwide. With the official announcement from Activision that Sledgehammer Games is the lead developer in the latest entry in the franchise, I thought it would be a good time to look back on the studio's most recent title and see how it's held up over the years. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more Call of Duty videos, gameplays, discussions, news, fails, and funnies, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new releases that come out every week. Over the next couple of videos, we will look back on the main parts of this game and talk about how it holds up today as we await the arrival of the next Call of Duty in 2021. The first part we will look at in today's video as the multiplayer, followed by the campaign in the next video, and finally zombies in the third video. So let's get to it. The first time I loaded the game back up after all these years, that dramatic World War II-esque music kicked on. I was instantly taken back to checking the mic and headset levels, ready to throw down on these scrubs. Or at least provide covering fire and a walking bullet sponge to my friends who actually did all the work. In any case, I definitely found fond memories with this Call of Duty. It's ranked pretty high in my most played CODs on PlayStation, and now that I have transitioned completely over to PC, I was excited to start fresh in 2021 and relive that 2017 experience. Well, not exactly. So there are a couple things that my nostalgia trip neglected to mention, like cross-platform games were not a thing in 2017. Then I realized that the lobbies are going to depend entirely on the PC player base rather than PlayStation or Xbox, which was exponentially bigger on consoles to begin with. The gap is even bigger 4 years later. The PS4 version is the most lively platform by far, followed by Xbox, and PC player count is honestly pretty low. I'm not gonna lie, there were some cheating issues that came up and I had to deal with, so that kind of sucked.
And this is why I report assholes like you.
Luckily, I still had my copy of World War II on PS4, so I was able to confirm that the game is still alive today, and I highly recommend playing it, especially in preparation for the new Call of Duty in 2021, which, again, is also being developed by Sledgehammer Games. For the sake of recording, all of the footage that you'll see in this video comes from PC. So much of my time on PC was spent looking for lobbies that were actually big enough to host a game online outside of Team Deathmatch. You might get lucky jumping into War or Domination, but best bet is going to be TDM. The only real reliable mode that you can get into right away is Shipment 24/7, which is still a ton of fun, and it's just absolutely chaotic, like it's nuck and futz. But that's definitely the only game that you're really going to find reliable on the PC version at this point. Side note, everything is double XP, so that was pretty nice, and pretty much the entire Call of Duty franchise is also on sale on Steam until May 17th, which is on Monday. That's pretty rare. So if you're considering picking up some of the older CODs, you better log in really quick and pick those up. We all remember the headquarters. It was a pretty popular feature. During peak times, it was still pretty full for the most part. It was pretty cool to run around the player hub, collect the daily orders, visit the prestige area, run down to the shooting range, settle disputes, and win bet money on the 1v1 map. It was a lot of fun, and I was really glad to see that again. Let me know in the comments if you think Sledgehammer is going to put in another headquarters type of feature in the next Call of Duty. Once I finally loaded into a match, I quickly realized just how long it's been since I played this game. Yeah. It was hard to watch as I was editing too. So if it's been a good while since you played World War II or even picking it up for the first time, expect to get mopped around for a few matches. It will save your controllers and your drywall. Trust me. You might really enjoy jumping back in for a few matches and pulling up your favorite loadouts and variants, and you can even still grind for the new DLC weapons, although I kind of forgot how I was able to repress the thought of the godforsaken loot boxes over the years. Anyway, the attachment system is very similar to Cold War. For the most part, the attachments are the same all across the weapon categories. Not a lot of customization on the weapons themselves outside of the camos and charms, but then we also remember the division system, combined with many different perks that you can put together to really tailor your loadout to your playstyle, and that was kind of cool in my opinion. I know some players weren't really into it, but I thought it was kind of a neat customization feature. It definitely added a little bit of variety outside of just the weapons themselves. As far as the gameplay itself, the spawns flip very fast and very frequently on your standard core mode, so a good bit of running around in circles, turning around, watching your back. I ended up in a few Sweatfest lobbies, and I did end up on a couple of lobbies with players with like God mode enabled or something, because they just absolutely shat on the opposing team the entire game. The console lobbies didn't have nearly as much of that going on, and I found myself a few decent lobbies that I could place pretty decently on, and it made for a good time. The pacing and the speed feels a lot faster to me, especially now that the game is well past its typical life cycle. All of the DLC is out. The guys that have been playing the game in their sauna since launch have their elitist class setups, And the rest of the community pretty much has their stuff together for a pretty fast TTK, or time to kill, and has enough experience to avoid the gimme traps that most rookies and noobs end up falling into. So we're not going to be using the beloved M1 Grand too much unless you don't mind gimping out a Valkyrie looking like Swiss cheese. War is the exception to this discovery because it is completely objective based and KD isn't even tracked. Thank God, because that would be embarrassing to disclose. But the point is, you won't have to worry so much about KD worshippers and just play the objective. The maps are pretty fun for a few games, but after a while you've seen all of the maps, you remember all the little nooks and crannies, and for the most part it's a pretty basic quote-unquote 3 main lane structure across most of the maps. They do have a few that mix it up pretty well, but I can understand how a lot of the community got bored during the first half of the game's life cycle because of the low-key repetitive map design. But at the end of the day, I really enjoyed it. I eventually got back into that old groove and had a few good matches, and I just had a lot of fun playing. The war game mode is the exception to this point about the maps as well, because it's a little bit bigger and you can divide it up into the different objectives as the match progresses, but in a way it's kind of all the same to me. Overall, I had a really fun time with it. I really enjoyed putting World War II in the cycle of COD games that I normally play, and although I really don't play World War II nearly as much anymore, I'd say it's held up pretty well, especially all things considered, and I would definitely recommend keeping it just kind of in the back pocket of your COD games rotation, just long enough to either catch some nostalgia or to get into a familiar groove and mix it up from time to time. I think that Call of Duty 2021 will have a lot of similarities to World War II, and I really just can't wait to see what the next entry will be when it drops this fall. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, nuke that like button and subscribe for more Call of Duty. Snipe the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos because they're dropping every single week. Hope to see you guys there. Cheers.